McFarland Series will return in 2025, kicking off the year with a 3-day marathon beginning January 1st. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a huge congratulations to all of our educators, students, and families of New Orleans for their continuous academic growth. School performance scores have been released from the state. For the first time in many years, there are no failing schools in New Orleans Public Schools. As a district, our performance increased by 4 points. In addition, Orleans Parish now exceeds pre-COVID school performance score for all students by 6.2 points. When you see a teacher, school leader, or student, be sure to show them some love.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Minutes past top of the hour. Happy, you know what day?
Hump day. Oliver's favorite day.
It is. No doubt about it, man. OT, Dr. Wyatt, Early Bird, and Iron Sanders on the box, man. Hopefully, everybody, you're traversing the traffic in a way that gets you to work on time, but also gets you there safe. I know you were just behind a seven car
pile up. It's bad too. There's fire trucks and EMTs and all of that good stuff right by Howard. 7 cars in a row.
Oh wow, man! We guys, we got a bang up show, but we always do. I mean, I think Dr. Wyatt and I can talk about chocolate chip cookies. It's going to chocolate chip cookies going to have a meaning. It's going to have a meaning of how they spread the dough and put the chips in, and why there's a reason for it. That's what we do. No other talk show in the city, other than here on WBOK, you're going to get that type of uncut, unfiltered conversation where even our listening audience not only has a say, but they help shape our conversation. So you can always call 504-582-9422, and guys, we hear you. We're really nothing without our listening audience, nothing without our supporters. But also remember, this is a business, right? Everyone who takes out an ad, sponsors the show, hires Dr. Wyatt, one of the hosts here is a voice for their product or their position, their place of space. It makes a difference in this city. So thank you for your financial support as well as your journalistic media communication support. We're going to continue our conversations with Council Freddie King this morning, 7:20. At 8 o'clock, State Rep. Delisha Boyd, who just filed to run for citywide office, mayor, council at large. The article said mayor. We'll talk to her about
clear the business.
Yeah, we'll talk to her about what's happening with the state. And then been a partner here, iconic African-American historian, Dr. Clyde Robinson, about trailblazers and history makers and Pontchartrain Park pioneers. But to the top of the news, man, you know it's election season, right? They're on. It's on. And the Times-Picayune Advocate has done very little to feature Dr. Eric Doc Jones, right? Whether it's Dr. or Doc, they're questioning his track record, but now it's interesting. They don't anything about his opponent's lack of qualifications or education.
So I have something to say about that.
We're leading off with that.
Come on, we're gonna lead off with that.
And I want to set the table.
Come on, set it up.
I really do.
Put a plate in front of me.
Byron Allen, the owner of Comcast.
Yes.
And for those who know, it's probably the largest African-American media mogul in the world right now. And his quest to fight to break into the television and media industry
Been following that.
was one that's legendary.
Yes.
He wrote a piece and he talked about his journey, and I've talked about it here over the last couple of years. He's also the author of the 4 Ds, and he attributed to, when you talk about African American intellectuals, activists, advocates, politicians, businessmen, and women, the 4 Ds have always come into play when they wanted to sacrifice them up. And the 4 Ds were dismiss. You dismiss them. They're just, just a crazy uncle,
Yep.
right? You discredit them. Well, I don't think their credentials are, their resume.
You remember when they said that about me, Oliver?
It's quite.
I don't think her doctorate real.
It's quite what it is.
Uh-huh.
And then once you dismiss and discredit, then you start to have your own community go after you. Then they demonize you.
Yep.
I remember when they did this. Or did you know that they did this? And then the axe comes down, or the guillotine come down, they destroy you.
Yeah. Or they try.
Dismiss, discredit, demonize, and destroy. Doc Jones, welcome to politics, man. Well, welcome to the game, Dr. Wyatt.
Yeah, well,
and we got to call her.
And you don't even have to say welcome to, because I think he's been in this terrain before. And let me say this in full transparency, and he could attest to this. He has not ever been my favorite, ever.
Oh no, not
He's
at all.
not ever been my favorite.
Not at
So
all.
when we talk here
I think
about
he raised the board, challenged his potential candidacy
absolutely,
in the past.
But at the end of the day, we talked about this here just recently about we need to figure out how to get in line with one initiative when it's best for children, when it's best for the community. Now, has he always been my favorite? Absolutely not. But if we're going to talk about what is best for children in a seat of education, I know that there's some modicum of experience when we talk about Eric Jones, right? Whether it's what the newspaper is saying or not, whether it's 2 years or 10, it's 2 more than she has, right? So let's just talk about this. If I wanted to go and get my hair colored, she would be the person. I'm coming to see about you. You might not color this hair, but at least I know that that's a conversation I can have about you, and that's no disrespect to you.
On your resume.
That's absolutely, that's the field that you chose, right? If I wanted to go and get my temperature checked and all, I'm going to go see a physician. I'm going to go see somebody that understands how to read these numbers. If you too with that half and half plate, you want to go get yourself checked. That's where you're going to go, right?
Right.
If I want to understand something about politics, I'm going to go holler at Dr. Bowie. I'm going to holler at you, because that's the lane y'all carved out for each other. I don't know why it's a shot to say, talk to people about the lane that they're the expert in. We don't have time to experiment with children right now. This is not the experimental moment. We're 20 years into the experiment. Right. We don't need another shot at experimenting. Now, what I find baffling about that is you have every right to check him down. Check him. If he say he been somewhere for 10 and it's only been 2, I'm going to ask him what you say 10 for. If it's been 2, then say 2. That's 2 more than she has, right? So let's start there. But if you're going to dress him down, then you have to be fair. Equitable, because there ain't no fairness in nothing. Let's just be equitable. Correct. If you're going to talk about his resume in education, then talk about hers in education. That's all we have to do here. Because when you get down to the bottom of it, you're still going to find that there's experience on his side that she lacks. That's the bottom line to it. Now, why you try to like exaggerate your experience? I'm not certain. That's a question we should ask him. 582-9422. He know the number. Call. We could talk about it. Right. But if we want to actually talk big picture, we have to start paying attention to what the news articles aren't printing. Why they not talking about hers though?
Well, I think the point, and you're absolutely correct when I set the table with Byron Allen and the 4 Ds, and for our community out there, the 4 Ds, especially when you talk about African American leadership in any arena. When Mr. Allen said that, and he's the owner of Comcast, Google him, dismiss, discredit, demonize, and destroy.
Yeah.
There was not a focus on who has the more education experience.
No.
The focus was on
the experience he claimed he has that he might not have. I read it, and I'm gonna say it again. Is he my favorite person? Absolutely not. He will tell you that.
Right.
Miss Alicia will tell you that. Joe Bowie will tell you that. But at the end of the day, if we're trying to unify around a common interest for children, then we have to just get behind a better candidate. That's the bottom line.
Well, welcome to Trump's America. That's where we are now, and it's on again. Line number 1, Reverend Wallace, great leader, man.
Hey, good morning. Couldn't have been a more befitting moment for me to come on and talk, and I want to speak blessing upon you and Dr. Wyatt this morning. And I certainly want you to listen to what I'm saying, Mr. Oliver. You have been tried, tested, and proven. You're the right antidote for the mayor of the city of New Orleans. You have shown yourself to be certainly a supporter of the community in a whole, not just the African community. You have represented the city in every aspect of support. Even when the mayor had her flaws, you never came to ostracize or criticize or vilify her like Elena Marino and J. Morrell. You stood with her, and you did what was right. You was a statesman, and you showed the leadership, and that's why you have such a large support in the African community. And we want you to know that you run against the Goliaths, but you're going to win. God is with you. You're going to be the next mayor of this city. You might be the forgotten David in the city, in Jesse's family, but you're going to be the one that God anointed. They've been appointed, but you're going to be anointed for the position. And you're going to bring this city together. I believe that with all my heart. After carefully thinking, if I've been kicked more in my mouth than my butt, I wouldn't have no teeth right now. But I'm saying this to you this morning. Run the fight. Don't quit. Believe in yourself. If you always believe in yourself, and to Dr. Wyatt, you're the newest next voice of WBOK. You have a great following. You have a great audience. You have great orator skills to speak to the people and to the core of issues in this community. You got to understand, because you're looking at an apple pie that's baked, it doesn't have to have apples in it just because you got the crust on it. So don't join yourself with people that bring everything to you. Vet it before you do it. Check it before you wreck it. You get what I'm saying this morning? And you'll be a great leader. Don't always run to be a fireman to put out fire. Know what it takes to put the fire out before you run to it. And I love y'all, and I want you to know God is with y'all. And Oliver, I'm praying for you. Fight a good fight. Keep the faith. If God did it once, Oliver, He'll do it again.
Thank you.
You came back. You're sitting on that council because God was in your favor. And if you have the desire, He said, I'll give you the desires of your heart. And I know what you're praying for. Fight the fight. Believe in God, and all things will work for the good for them which love Him, which are called to His purpose in life. You're the next mayor of the city.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Dismiss, discredit, demonize, and destroy. It's an age-old tactic.
But we have to also start to question what the motivations are for this, because if it's real journalism, then you would get full picture. You would understand that this is a vetting of their potential on a school board, right? That's what this is about. It would be almost like a rubric, right? Where they have the boxes checked. But if this is just a hit piece, then it's that real journalism. That's all I'm asking. I don't understand it.
It's a hit piece.
But why though? Like, so then we have to understand, like, what's funding the hit piece? Like, who's pushing it? Whose engine is it? Right? What's the purpose of it? And that's another thing that happens in politics when the folk run these grassroots campaigns, and they're like Dr. Donaldo Batista, they were questioning this man's sexuality. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? And as his opponent, I wouldn't have even allowed somebody to attach that to my campaign. I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Because it does nothing for our children. There are children whose sexualities are also being questioned that you have to represent. And is that the stance you want to take? You want to air their business out? That's what we're doing here. We have to be very careful about what we allow to saturate in this community as news, because that's not news. That's not journalism.
The most disappointing thing is that the system in power can count on using one of our own from our own community to destroy us.
Yes, they send us for us. That's the recipe.
And they know and especially
somebody gonna bite.
The people who shine their halos.
Yes.
But hey, the 4 Ds: dismiss, discredit, demonize, destroy. Line number 2, Miss Alicia, you're on with OT and Dr. Wyatt.
Good morning. Good morning to the audience as well. Dr. Wyatt, I stand behind everything you just said because it is the truth. And I, too, I had my battles with Eric Jones as well. But when it comes down to who's going to support Senator Dr. Bowie
that's it,
and his education for our community, that's who I'm riding with. And you have these organizations like Step Up, who's supposed to be for second chances, but they personally does not like Eric Jones. So despite the fact that he has education experience and a hairdresser does not, they're going with the hairdresser. And despite the fact of second chances with Vote, who's run by 2 murderers, they're going to go with her because she's a part of Vote. I'm not looking for that for my children. I want somebody who knows about education and who's going to fight for all the fights that Dr. Bowie has put for all these years for our children. That's what I'm going to be with. They don't say anything about the hairdresser. They don't say anything about the GED. And I don't have a problem with people getting a GED, and I don't have a problem with the hairdresser.
Not at all.
But you can't sit on a school board to tell me how you're going to do things when it comes to education, accountability, accounting, and policy. You don't know anything about that. And I've even written to this journalist. I told her this is a complete hit job, and it's not fair. And I know she's being backed by Leslie Rosenthal Jacobs, the architect of this charter pipeline, the prison system. Caroline Roma Shirley, she need to go sit herself down somewhere because she's making buku money off of this charter stuff. And it's ridiculous. These people need to be caught because they're strangling, they're killing our children because of the lack of education that our children are not getting.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good
Thank you.
Let me say this before we go to break too. When if this is the same young lady who's that's the Verite piece you were talking about, or is that?
No, this is Times Picayune.
So the Verite put out a piece as well, right? That young lady has been in New Orleans for 6 months. Who they got to author the piece, right?
Yeah, but
that tells you
Verite,
that somebody's feeding her.
Verite doesn't represent traditional New Orleans. Verite represents the gentrification of New Orleans.
And it also tells you that you can't have the historical knowledge that you need to write that piece if you've only been here 6 months, right? So who's actually the author of the pen that you're with? Like, if you're going to talk journalism, and if you're going to put the pieces together for the public to have an informed decision on their vote, then you're supposed to do it holistically, right? Big picture.
A checkbox.
How you aiming at one person and there's 2 people in the race, right? So to make it make sense, I don't like it, and I don't appreciate
What's
it.
a sniper's mission?
Period. Because let's be very clear here. And Eric knows this. My goal is to support Senator Dr. Joseph Bowie. So however he rocked, that's how I'm a roll. It has nothing to do with anything else because I know he has the best interests of our children at heart. So that's what I'm doing.
Well,
that's it.
Well, let me say this as someone who is in commercials with Eric Doc Jones.
Mm-hmm. You in a commercial with him, OT? I missed it.
Well, I think it's radio when we took pictures together.
Gotcha. Okay.
I met him in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where you met him at?
In the classroom. Then I met him again in the education boardroom.
You didn't meet him at the barbershop?
No. Then in the education conference room. Then at the education conference. That's the only place that I've ever had.
First time I met him was at SciTech. I was a principal at SciTech, and he came to one of our our meetings. That's where I first met him.
So whatever you want to say about education, 90% of my public encounters with Eric Doc Jones has been in the school system. So now we need to start being very intentional about the people who are writing pieces, right? And we need to check, where their motivations are coming from. Because if it's real journalism, then you give us a idea of who both candidates are and let us make an informed decision. But nobody's dressing her down about anything. Like, even the hot seat wasn't hot. That was the most lukewarm hot seat I've ever seen. The questions were made and designed for her to not have to stumble over anything. They were very easy questions. I hate the fact that he didn't join the hot seat because I wanted to hear from him. That would have been a perfect opportunity to talk about it. Much of the media here wants is coronations, not elections.
Well,
WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
Yes, our station. We'll be back after the break.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer. Listen to
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Right now, New Orleans police are investigating a shooting that left one man injured in the Westlake neighborhood. Police say this happened around 7:50 last night on the 8400 block of South I-10 Service Road. The victim was suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition at this time or a motive for the shooting. But call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111 if you have any information that can help police. New details from the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office as they announce another arrest in a financial fraud scheme. Tonya Robertson is accused in a scheme to defraud the agency and the public of more than $90,000. She's a former OPSO employee and is facing felony charges. Labrina Lackey, another former employee, was arrested in this same alleged scheme and faces similar charges. A bombshell admission at New Orleans criminal court. 93-year-old retired priest Laura Hecker pleaded guilty to raping and kidnapping a boy in the 1970s. Hecker's trial was set to start yesterday morning, but in the last hour, he pleaded guilty to theft, kidnapping, and rape. Hecker will now spend the rest of his life in prison. A New Orleans judge orders Governor Jeff Landry to follow city ordinance when it comes to homeless encampment sweeps. The ruling comes after a temporary restraining order was granted, blocking the state from moving unhoused people from the camps before Bayou Classic. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a fantastic hump day.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present the Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 minutes of LCMC Health, where doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of health care in the New Orleans area, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. Over the next few months, LCMC Health will join WBOK and local businesses to answer your health and wellness questions. Through this partnership, LCMC Health will provide resources to the community, including subject matter experts from the hospitals that will share expertise on health concerns and wellness practices to help you live your best life. Tune in to WBOK during the last hour of the reality check, or catch us at lcmchealth.org and follow us on social media.
Greetings, WBOK family. This is Jason Clark, host of United Way and You. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 12 p.m. when we'll be speaking with Melanie Richardson, co-founder and executive director of Training Grounds, a United Way funded partner. The topic will be the We Play, We Connect Family Resource Hub. Please tune in if you're able. Until then, we only have one life to live, so live united.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
This is wellness advocate and host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind, Pastor David Patan. Every week, I'm educating you on how to be healthier by making simple changes to your diet. So join me every Saturday at 1 p.m. and let's get better together, only on WBOK 1230. What New Orleans is talking about.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
WBOK is pleased to announce the reboot of Crosstown Conversations with host Gene Nathan. A heightened focus on cultural entertainment events and the creators who present them. The new time is now Saturday at noon. Tune into the stories of our exploding creative scene with Gene Nathan on Crosstown Conversation.
This is Dr. Jaquil Ross from New Schools for New Orleans, wishing everyone a warm and inviting holiday season.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back 30 minutes past the bottom of the hour. Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, OT, the early bird, Nyron on the box, and we're back to that moment. Yeah, it's hump day, guys. We're on the front side of it, but we're going to roll up to the top and slide into the weekend again. And our councilman, no stranger to the Good Morning Show. And I always tell people, Doc, the thing I always did like about who's Councilman Freddie King, Attorney Freddie King, was that he would come here and share with us before he got elected. I hate to hear what people say what they're going to do when they get elected. I don't want to say hate, it's the wrong way. But I don't really like when I hear people say what they're going to do when they get elected. And they have a whole list of community stuff, and I'm like, well, you could have did that yesterday.
Yeah, what with no title.
You could have did that yesterday. So why do you have to wait to have a political title to get involved in critical areas? And when you talk about kids and community, Councilman Freddie King has always done that. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, OT. Thank you, Dr. White.
First of all, man, how are you? How are the kids? How's the family? How's your wife? And, of course, how your mom and dad?
Everyone's doing well. Parents doing well. Siblings, children, wife. Everyone's doing good.
All right. Now, how old that little one now?
The youngest child is about 19 months.
And the oldest?
9.
19 months. You ain't Oliver.
So no one can ever question his productivity. and look, whether it's being productive on the council or being productive at home and in our community. And as the late Dr. Morris F.S. Jeff said, if numbers matter, we always need some numbers, right? So, as I affectionately call him, Dr. King, man, what's going on, man? What's happening?
Doc, I'm saying Doc, Brother OT, a lot is happening. We're getting ready for the holiday season. I have a busy weekend with the UNI on the French Quarter Market, French Market Corporation. We have the Christmas parade this week. We're talking about the high school football with Etna Carr in the semifinals, the Pride of Algiers, and looking for them to take home the state championship next week. So just a lot going on inside City Hall and outside of City Hall.
Yeah. So what are some of the highlights in District C? I know there's the parade that's going to happen, but there's so many other things that are going on right now. We know you're trying to settle, also working with me to try to settle the trash dispute. So what else? What more is happening?
We just finished Bayou Classic / Thanksgiving week, and I really like to do a lot that week. Being a graduate of Southern University Law Center, my wife as well. So we just gave $2,000 scholarships to a Grambling student, to a Southern law to a Southern law student. We had a bunch of Thanksgiving festivities for our community, including our seniors. You had the same over in the Lower Ninth Ward. We're getting ready for this Christmas season. That's always a busy time of year. And you mentioned we got this trash dispute, and that's something that's taken a lot of time, a lot of attention. But that's what we signed up for. The district is bigger than just this trash issue, but we got to be real. The French Quarter and the CBD is a big part of not just a city, but a big part of the state. So that has to get resolved, and I believe it will. People like you, myself, and others around making calls and trying to broker deals and get people to see the bigger picture. I think we'll get everything resolved.
Well, listen, all that business talk. I went to Inspire NOLA had this comedy event that they put on for teachers. And I know I could see. Nothing wrong with my eyes. I saw you on that stage, Oliver. He was stepping. And I couldn't. I had to literally lean in. I said, that can't be Freddie King. That can't be the councilman, because he's just so laid back and he's so
Omega Man.
Yeah.
All the time.
He was up there setting it out on the stage. Huh?
I did a quick. I did a quick spin. My knees are still feeling I'm no longer 18 and 19. But look, hats off to Inspire NOLA. What they're doing in the classroom is like their motto says, second to none. What they're doing on the basketball court and the football field is second to none. The highest scoring charter system in the city of New Orleans.
Let's be clear, second to none is an Edna Carr mantra, not an Inspire NOLA mantra. There are several schools in Inspire NOLA. What we're not about to do is commandeer our mantra for Edna. No.
Absolutely. But they're doing a great job, from Edna Carr to 35 and Maine and all of the middle schools. Hats off to them, and hats off to Jamar McNeely. He's doing a great job with a lot of odds stacked against him. And I'm just proud to see a young brother doing his thing and leading the best charter school system in the city.
Go ahead.
On our updates, of course, you talked about trash issue and highlighting on that. You fought to make sure that the golden egg of the goose, which is that tourism culture, is important because you're right. It doesn't just feed the city; it feeds the state. Much of the state's revenue that goes to other communities pass through.
That's right.
From New Orleans. But public safety has always been a major issue and a major concern of yours. Talk about this uptick, especially in violence downtown now. It's almost like we're happy now that it's gone down in the cutoff and gone down in other parts of communities where it's traditional, but we're seeing it happen. It's gone down in the east. It's gone down, but we've seen it, the uptick in the French Quarter and parts of downtown. Talk about your concern for that and some of the things we're doing to make sure we can mitigate it and stop.
Well, it's very concerning. 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting with by Mr. B's restaurant, by the Brennan's restaurant. That happened at 12 o'clock. You and I were on the desk, taking care of city work. I get a phone call, get text messages, phone blowing up, shooting in the French Quarter. Middle of the day, during lunchtime. So immediately, I go out there, my staff, we talked to Captain Roberts, who he was on the scene immediately with several dozen officers. And we're talking, and it's a strange seeing everybody kind of peeping out the window, afraid to come outside, the workers from the restaurants and the grocery stores or convenience stores. And it's like, what can you do to stop somebody at 12 o'clock from shooting in broad daylight, shooting at a crowd of people? I don't know how you stop that. There's no amount of police officers that have stopped that. That is people.
It's the most heavily policed area in the region.
Absolutely. And you look at people, the people who did this, they had masks on. They were prepared. Ankle monitors. They were ready for this. So this wasn't a spur of the moment thing. This was, we're going to be ready. We're going to find our target and have our masks ready. So I don't know how you stop somebody from doing something when their mind is already made up, no matter what time of day it is or where it is.
But it also speaks to the carelessness of it, right? Because if you know police are out there, you know there's a possibility that you could be caught. And so that tells you that there's something innately inside of them that says no matter what the outcome is, this has to get done. And so I think that's the scarier part of it.
Two things, Doc. You're right. You're going to get caught. There were cameras. We were talking, and we just out on a corner at the intersection where it happened. You saw cameras all over the place, and they caught the person within an hour because they tracked them everywhere they went through the license plate reader. But this wasn't a teenager. These were grown men. These were grown men with the ankle monitor, and from my understanding, the person who was caught had over 40 violations while on his ankle monitor. So it lets you know their mindset is, I just don't care.
Or could it be that there are no real consequences? If I've done something 40 times and I've gotten away with it 40 times, I'm going to start to up the ante. I'm going to push. That's what kids do. They see just how much the parents will let them get away with. And if I push it a little more, you let me get away. I'm trying to see where the real line is.
Well, it's I don't care because they kind of go hand in hand. I don't care because I know there is no real consequences for my actions, and you see that. And it's a balancing test. You know, people always say, do this or do that. It's how do I ensure a person gets a true second chance, but how do I keep the community safe? And it's not just on the council. It's not just on the judges and the DAs. It's on the entire governmental system to make sure that we keep our community safe, but not throw away people who truly deserve a second chance. So I think 40 chances is about 38 or 39 too many. But you definitely want to try to help those who help themselves. But it's a delicate balance, and you have to be willing to make those hard decisions. And sometimes you got to say, look, man, you've gotten 1 or 2 chances. It's time for you to go to jail and sit down for a while.
And so I saw something in the media recently about the council, the city, attempting to ban the Mylar balloons, right? Because it's hitting power lines and causing disruptions. Is there any talk about banning the mask that these kids are wearing that obscures their face when they're committing. Because like this is New Orleans. We don't live in a place where those things are needed. We might have. This is about as cold as it's probably gonna get here. So, is there any conversations around doing that in the interest of public safety?
I've thought about that. I don't know how successful it would be. You know, people still are afraid of COVID, so that's always going to be a reason why to have a mask on. And go ahead, Councilman Thomas.
No, there have been conversations about that over the last several years, from in terms of attire. Kids wearing the hoodies.
They call them shiesties.
Sagging pants.
Yes.
Using those thermal hats or masks to cover their faces, but there's parts of it's sketchy is in terms of the law.
Yeah.
And attorneys like Councilmember King and others, but you know, it's not a new conversation. They talked about it in Los Angeles and Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only asking because we talked yesterday about
it has been a conversation about it. What are you doing?
Yeah.
First of all, what are you doing walking around in the middle of the day with a mask on and
When it's not even
an
cold.
overcoat?
Yeah.
Well, and it's 90 degrees.
And then also potentially, everybody got to keep on clearing their throat, lead to over policing. So you see a group of young teens with mask on their face, or not on their face, but just on their head. That may lead to them being over policed, and no one.
Well, the reason I ask, and in particular for me, when I go into these corner stores, right, they're literally displayed on the wall, and they come in all different colors, and some of them you have guns on them, like and so to me, I'm just wondering if that's a conversation in the interest of public safety, because certain things are not about COVID. It's not about staying warm.
Right.
It's 90 degrees, and I see kids walking around with that on their face and a hood on their head. That's just not giving me
Doc, you open a whole other can of worms talking about corner stores and what they sell.
That's why I said it.
What they sell to our people. I want to talk specifically. This is on my mind this morning. It's a corner store. You're very familiar with it. Used to be Julian on the corner of Woodland and Tullis. And they want to sell alcohol. And they don't have a alcohol license right now. I said, absolutely not. I'm a councilman with that area. I'm born and raised in that area, and we all know the issues that Tullis faces. Having someone being able to sell cheap alcohol right there, it'll make a bad situation worse. So I didn't allow that to happen. I won't allow it to happen as long as I'm the council member. But going deeper into this whole corner store, like that's a big problem in our community.
It is.
I was just at the Dumaine Gaines second line, and one of the people was at the barbershop told me yesterday how at the second line, one of the corner store owners was being very disrespectful to the people outside because they was selling we selling the different things on the corner, and he was being very disrespectful, saying I make $25,000 a month out here, and I don't need this in my community or just in my neighborhood. It's like, one, it's not your neighborhood, and
not
two,
at all.
This is one day out the year.
The culture.
This is one day out the year where people are just coming together, no violence, just celebrating. But the things he was saying and just his dismissive attitude to people in that neighborhood makes me wonder, why do we still patronize these corner stores?
Yeah, because those are not new arguments, right? And I always tell people I've been around long enough and involved in public life and just life in general. I'll never forget when Chewy Clark and them the corner store on the corner of Jackson and Annunciation, when they had to basically shut it down over the way a young girl was treated.
But that's what has to happen
inside the store. And when you talk about the whole mask thing and the tire thing, Doc, maybe more folk need to kind of take a constitutional look at that. I had to revisit that a couple of weeks ago when I went to get a tire changed at the spot where one of the young woman who's one of the owners of the tire shop, she said, "You're the uncle of the girl who got shot here," and she relived it with me.
Yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, we were here when they 4 of them jumped out the car with hoods and ski masks, and they shot up your niece's car 57 times.
But I also want to be clear too, that because my question is also it's a double-edged sword, right? It also helps the issue of what you were saying about over policing our children. If you don't walk around with it on, right, that you eliminate this idea that there's a probable cause to even interact with you, right? So I'm thinking about it in terms of the safety, not only for the general public, but the safety for our kids as well. There's no place for it if it's not a necessity in terms of keeping you warm.
What about a hoodie?
You know,
is a hoodie a necessity? Because that's kids wear hoodies 365 out here.
Yeah, it's no in terms of the weather now anymore. It's a fashion statement, but it was anti-system when Trayvon Martin folk were like, well, you don't want us wearing them. Yeah. NBA players started wearing them. Yeah. At halftime.
But the problem is we've been conditioned to fear the hoodie. When folks who dress just like you are the real villains most of the time, right? Because I'm just being real here. We are conditioned to fear the hoodie when the people who are helping to perpetuate laws that actually really hurt our children come very well dressed. So this is not a conversation about attire as much as it is what do we do for our children to further keep them safe. Because we do know the hoodie Trayvon had on is one of the reasons why George Zimmerman even targeted him on top of his black skin in a neighborhood that he didn't think that he belonged in, right? That's right. So, I mean, we could have that conversation, but I'm talking about this idea that you in the middle of the day, you jump out a car with ski masks and weapons on, and you have no fear. None. No fear for the police that are already out there. No fear for the cameras.
Well, we're on the front side of Hump Day. Nyron is saying we got to go to break. And when we come back, you know what we're going to do? We're going to roll into the community events and holiday season, So we've traversed up the front side of that hill.
Sounds good.
We almost to the top. Doc Y at OT, the Early Bird WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about?
Station?
Our station.
You know it's your station, girl. We'll be back after the break.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hi, this is Congressman Troy Carter. I ask that you join me in voting for Eric Doc Jones for Orleans Parish School Board District 2. Eric Doc Jones is a career educator with whom I've had the pleasure of working together on many issues of importance for our community and is ready to serve as our next school board member on day one. I proudly endorse Eric Doc Jones for Orleans Parish School Board District 2. Eric Doc Jones is number 12 on the ballot.
Paid for by the committee to elect Eric Doc Jones, number 12.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Hi, this is Troy Henry, one of the owners of WBOK and Equity Media. And on behalf of myself, my family, and my company, Henry Consulting, we'd like to wish you a very, very, very happy holiday.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Dr. White, OT, Councilmember King, Iron on the Box, and all of our listening audience. If you live in District C or anywhere, 504-582-9422. 'Tis the season to be you, right? It's wonderful, a wide open Wednesday. Councilman, we're rolling out of Thanksgiving into the holiday gift, giving and receiving. So talk about holidays in District C. What's happening? What are we looking forward to?
Well, a few things. Tonight we're going to be lighting the lights in front of Morris FX Jeff Park for the first time. Gave some money to Nard, much like you did in Joe Brown, to kind of add a little bit of a festive feeling in our playground. So
we got our own lighting in New Orleans East now. We got Joe Brown Park and on Reed Boulevard by Grady St. Stephen. So you ain't got to go to City Park. I'm not saying you can do all of them, and it's free.
We're gonna do that tonight. It's a test run, so we're gonna see how well it goes this year. Unfortunately, Brother OT and Dr. White, excuse me, already experienced vandalism. Already seen people cut the wires, damage the lighting. Still some of them, but we're not going to let that deter us. We're going to keep moving forward with that. One thing I'm most proud of that we do every year in the district is we have a Warming Hearts event where the holiday season isn't always festive for everybody. A lot of people experiencing their mourning because they lost somebody, just because they're lonely. So what we do every New Year's Eve, we have this very nice brunch where we invite seniors to come in, people who have lost. During that year, they come in and they get a chance to talk to other folks who are also experiencing loss, who are also lonely, and it gives them a place to go. It gives them someone to talk to, and it gives them something to do during this holiday season. So we're looking forward to doing that this Christmas Eve. We do that again. It's our third year doing it, and it is a heart-moving and heart-warming event to see so many people. Being able to get that burden off their shoulders and get that off their chest, that mourning that they're going through. So I'm looking forward to that. And just look, the King family. I got 5 kids, man. We got Nutcracker ballets coming up. We have different recitals coming up through NOBA. That's through NARD. The free dance class that is phenomenal.
You got 3 girls and 2 boys, right?
4 girls.
4 girls.
4 girls. And one boy, and 2 of the girls are doing the Nutcracker next week. I have a recital to go to today at 5 o'clock in the cutoff center for one of my daughter's recitals. So we have a lot going on in the King household. We have a lot going on in District C. Also want to plug in the Gall Manor demolition is going to be starting to do that. That contract should be signed today, and we're going to continue the structure or the demolition of the Gall Manor, which has been an eyesore in the Algiers community for almost a decade and a half. So we're going to continue with that. So there's a lot happening in the district and a lot to be proud of.
So are we looking to put up more affordable housing in its place, or what are we doing there?
Well, it's still going to be owned by the owner, Josh Bruno, but
another
Bruno property. So I can't say what's going to be. There are a couple of things I like to see there, but he's going to still be the owner. So he's going to receive this large $1 million plus bill, the cost of the demolition, but what's going to be ultimately put there is not going to be up to the city just yet. It's going to be up to the owner.
So let me ask you this question, especially since the Doc White asked that question. And if you're familiar with the city charter, we have certain responsibilities, right? The city council is really purely land use zoning and budgeting. Most of the other stuff, 95% of it is administrative. We're a conduit. But when you talk about the rights of property owners, and our ability to control revenue, that's controlled by the state. We've tried for decades to get more freedom to seize abandoned property. Of course, there's
not easy.
There's a redemption period. So at what point do we get the legislature to give us the freedom where you could seize a Bruno property. And if he's not going to pay the fine, then take the property and leverage it to put it back into commerce.
Because that's where I was going with the question, because every time I hear his name, it's associated synonymously with dilapidation.
Absolutely.
And it's always in communities like ours. He doesn't go and be a slumlord in other parts of the community. It's always in communities that are starving for affordable housing and starving for shelter that he puts these places, put these buildings in place, and then he doesn't take care of them. So what do we do with that? Like, do we just allow him to, like, how do he keeps getting a green light to?
Protected by the state.
Well, how you keep getting the money to buy these properties is another question. But
I'm just curious.
I'm curious too. But we were very. I think you got to have a council member or elected officials that really care. This property, as you know, has been sitting where it is in Algiers, not only the Gall Manor, but also Park Fontaine. Cypress Acres. It's been sitting there for decades, and no one really cared because they don't visit that area. They represent it, but they just don't care enough to get it down. And that's one of my promises.
So you think we can get the state at some point, our delegation, to work with the state to give us the freedom to seize and dispense of property?
I will hold to, but that's a slippery slope because we are also the ones taking advantage of the most. My Big Mama can't afford to get her gutters redone, and now you got somebody coming to knock on her door to take her property. So I think it needs to be done, but really tailored to where we go after these large property owners, because we've seen how that has turned our neighborhoods inside out. And Doc, you mentioned affordable housing. I'm at the point right now, I don't know what is affordable. What is affordable?
That's a great question.
And who is affordable housing for?
Because even for the folk who are renting, homeowners like myself, my insurance, they just keeps moving. And it's like, at what point, like, does anybody protect us? Like, how does it just keep moving, but our incomes are not moving? Our earning potential is not moving, but the price for shelter continues to move.
The price to live is going up. And we always see a lot of advocates come in City Hall and demand we give money, but no one is demanding we give money to the homeowners in McClintonville or the Cutoff to fix their property, but we'll get affordable housing for everyone else. So I want to know what is affordable, and who is I want to, before we get this money away. Because I think
affordable needs to be in line with what we can earn here, what the cost of living is here, what the wages are here, and that's a heavy conversation. But what you forgot to tell us is about this boxing gym that you're.
I'm pushing for a boxing gym. I would love to see a boxing gym right on General Meyer at the old brake tag station. That's been sitting empty for quite some time, and I think it serves a couple purposes. One, it helps with dispute resolution, and it also helps keep our community in shape. So I would love to see that boxing gym.
But it also provides structure for our children. Whether folk want to believe it or not, kids want structure. They want it.
Absolutely.
The only reason why there's anarchy is because there's no structure there. They know there's no line, so they keep pushing. But they want structure, and I think boxing is a wonderful way to give our children not only something to do, but the structure and the discipline.
Absolutely.
When I realized that my little cousin was a boxer. He doesn't fight just to fight, because your hands are different now. If you're boxing,
and your mindset is different.
Absolutely, your discipline is different. And I think it'll go a long way to bring not only some structure there, but give the kids something viable.
Well, help be my voice. Coach Larry, if you listen, we got Dr. Y. We need that boxing gym over on General Meyer in Algiers.
I'm an Algiers girl, so I'm going to have something to say about it.
Nothing like an Algiers girl. Well, Dr. King, anything you want to close out with?
Nah, man, thank you for this opportunity, and look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow at our council meeting. I think we got to keep stressing that we have more attendance from our community. People say, I know this happened. Come to the council meeting.
You know what else I want to tell you, OT? You know how you always say people don't invite me to do stuff? Yeah. He have like a little crawfish competition at Algiers all the time, and I ain't never a judge.
Yeah, over in Federal.
So you know what I'm talking about?
She could be our judge, first judge.
I haven't been one yet. Well, Amo, thank you as always. We appreciate what you do, and you're always welcome here.
Thank you.
In this space. When we come back, all things state. What's happening? Taxes, housing amendments, a special fiscal session, another session coming in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in what I think the Tribune said, Trump's America and Landry's Louisiana? Maybe we'll ask Representative Boyd about that.
Let's talk about it.
WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
You know, it's our station. We'll be back, guys.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Joe Manchin, departing after 14 years in the Senate, called representing West Virginia the honor of his life. In his farewell address, he criticized political divisions and urged action on inflation and border issues. Manchin, who recently switched to independent, chose not to seek re-election. A new Gallup survey shows that 51% of employees are looking for new jobs, with worker satisfaction at a record low. Only 18% are extremely satisfied with their current job, and job seeking is at its highest rate since 2015. The Supreme Court will hear arguments Wednesday on Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming treatment for transgender minors. The case will address whether the ban violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. And the Great Lakes and Northeast are expecting up to a foot of snow from an Arctic blast. 5 million people are under winter weather warnings. Parts of Florida are also experiencing freeze warnings. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a huge congratulations to all of our educators, students, and families of New Orleans for their continuous academic growth. School performance scores have been released from the state. For the first time in many years, there are no failing schools in New Orleans Public Schools. As a district, our performance increased by 4 points. In addition, Orleans Parish now exceeds pre-COVID school performance score for all students by 6.2 points. When you see a teacher, school leader, or student, be sure to show them some love.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
The ankle monitoring system in New Orleans is a disgrace, a dismal failure, and a public safety threat. People are being shot and killed. I see nothing being done about it. In my humble opinion, the whole damn system as practiced in New Orleans should be thrown out. Ideally, the ankle monitoring system, which uses electronic monitoring devices, is supposed to track the location of an individual under court supervision. It's an alternative to putting the person in jail, typically used for people on probation, parole, or awaiting trial. Time and time again, individuals wearing ankle monitors have been caught committing crimes while they're supposed to be under supervision in our city. The state attorney general ordered an investigation of the system back in July. The situation is just getting worse. Several days ago, masked gunmen drove through the French Quarter, opening fire in front of the popular Dickie Brennan's restaurant, killing 1 person and injuring 3 others. Police immediately tracked down one of the suspected gunmen. You guessed it, he was wearing an ankle monitor. 28-year-old Nicholas Morana is now being held on account of second-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted second-degree murder. He was wearing an ankle monitor for weapons charges and negligent injury, according to the NOPD. Officials from the company that keeps track of the monitoring system said Morana had violated the conditions of his ankle monitoring parole 40 times prior to the mass shooting in the French Quarter. The monitoring company told the news media that the violations were reported to the court, and that means he should have been arrested and put behind bars for violating his parole well before the mass shooting. Why didn't that happen, Criminal District Court Judge Leon Roche? Why didn't it happen after the first time, Judge, but 40 times? Come on, Judge. Judge Roche, if someone else is to blame or if someone should share the blame, we need you to tell us. Otherwise, it seems you're responsible for what happened. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
back 5 minutes past the top of the hour. And Dr. White knows I'm in one of my favorite days, right? We're on the front side of my favorite day. At some point, as the evening begins to wane, we'll roll in to Thursday and then the weekend. But we want to thank Councilmember Freddie King. Man, there's as Councilmember King said, look, the holiday time. And older men like me and young men like him with young children. Mm-hmm. Children, that's more than one children.
More
y'all.
than one plural. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's y'all know if the holidays didn't matter to us, they matter.
So here, this is a concern too that's in the chat, but that has also been a question I've always asked too. When you want the public to do their civic duty and come and talk to y'all, right, and bring issues to you, it's almost like the school board. We have these meetings at inopportune times for the general public. And then to come see y'all, I got to feed a meter with money I don't have. Like, when can we do something to make the city council more user-friendly for
municipal
for
government
the
period?
citizenry?
I think that's a great question. And if you've heard me with these discussions, I don't understand why we haven't broken down government and got out of some of these expensive buildings and placed agencies in the community where they were more
Like the East.
Well, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're leasing from someone downtown, in St. Joe's or in a historic area, right? You're paying to restore and renovate old buildings that someone could put into commerce. Why haven't we broken down municipal and state government to say, no, you know what? We're going to be more accessible. People will have parking. Or in the past, folk called for free parking zones for certain, but that's not what happens. If you notice, if there's an event downtown, they take all the public spaces.
They sure do. And then they put the makeshift signs up where they got somebody waving a flag
force you
to
into
tell you to,
They force you into a parking lot where you're paying $50
Oh, and
for
let's
an
talk
event
about
now?
that. Hold on. Let's talk about that parking structure. When I went to the event that I'm talking to you about with Freddie King, right? And Treese was with me. We went together. The parking structure was so nasty, and the smell, the trash. And I'm paying $20, $30 to park in there. There's nobody in there. It's not safe. It's two women walking through there.
Right.
Anything can look like people were sleeping in there, using the bathroom in
They
there.
didn't look like
And
people
I'm being charged to park in there.
Yeah, and if you were paying $20, you were cheap because nowadays.
No,
it's
I've
30,
gone some
40,
places it was
50 to
60.
Oh, wow.
I went to a Namtok ball one time
Right.
because my son's friend was one of the maids, and that was the first time I went to a Namtok ball, and they were charging us $60 to park in the structure adjacent to the
forced into that.
What? Yes, $60. I mean, it's insane. And so for me, I'm just asking, what can the city do to ensure that when the public has to do business on behalf of itself to talk to the city government, or I went to visit my soror's mom. She was dying in the hospital. I had to pay to park to go into the hospital to go see her. So you want sick folk to pay to go see the doctor, and then you got to pay to see the doctor. You understand what I'm saying? Like, everything is about making us poorer and poorer. There should be something that's done to make certain that we could see you without having to be charged for
Well,
it.
maybe, Dr. White, that's cause for a call about access to spaces. Where is the public supposed to park, whether it's special events or access to a hospital? What is our relationship to public spaces, to services that folk need?
And how come we lost Saturday? Because
Right.
at least when you went over there on a Saturday, it was free parking Saturday. Then we lost Saturday. Now you got to pay at 7 o'clock like you do during the week.
Pretty soon,
Like, who comes up with these
they gonna
rules?
want you to pay to park to go to church.
Absolutely. I mean, when they put ATMs in the church, there's nothing that, if you don't got to go get it. But
Three words.
What?
There are 3 words that can explain it.
What?
Revenue.
Well, listen, if
You know,
you continue to
revenue.
care about those 3 words, that's why you're going to continue to have what that is, the spike, the surge, what they calling it now.
Yeah.
And that's why when folk don't have it, they go get it by any means necessary. Like, we make it too hard to live here. And the whole entire city is funded on the backs of the very people who can't afford to live here.
My cousin Walter Harris, who one of the top jazz and musicians in this city, right? We come from jazz bands to Preservation Hall. Walter is known throughout the world in terms of what he does in music. Several years ago on WBOK, he proposed access for our culture bearers, artisans, our musicians, so that they would have municipal parking spots, right? So that when they went to work in the quarter or in the tourism district, that the ticket that they would receive would be more than they made
that night. Yeah, I've heard the artists say that.
more than they made that
Or-
night.
or
When
I've
they got
heard them-
booted, they got booted or towed. They were actually lost money providing a service doing a gig. And at some point, I know you're talking. This is the elected official, OT. At some point we have to take a look at our relationship to parking spaces availability, especially in a town where we're having more and more
Or
events.
our relationship with community.
More and more events and less access to public spaces.
David say, how about district tours for council meetings?
That's
David
not,
asked.
that is actually not new. My first time around council, they had meetings at schools. They had meeting in auditoriums out in the community. The issue became about paying overtime and paying for security. So I think it's something that needs to be revisited now, especially because what you've said is that there's limited access to municipal spaces and municipal facilities now, and it's getting harder and more expensive to access. So that's another conversation.
Like even
we
when
need
you
to
go
have
to
again.
court, Oliver, right? You can go to court, and you can go to court. You can feed the meter, right?
Right.
And then the judge could decide at her leisure when she wants to take the bench. They could decide at their
If they're
leisure
gonna be there.
when they're going to call your case. You know what I mean? If they're going to be there and you're panicking, looking at your clock, you're going to feed the meter. At some point, when does the citizenry get respected in a community where it's already hard to live here? And then I have to pay to interface with every governmental entity or municipality in the city. I have to pay to interface with them.
Now you sound like my dad used to
I'm
always
just
say.
saying,
He said everybody pocket's getting fat but the taxpayer, right? Oh, man, and who rolled into the studio? Pastor Kenneth Davis. Man.
Hi, how are you?
One of the preacher, teacher, soul reachers, man, in our community. And Pastor Ken, first of all, thank you for what you do in the community. And I know you're here to talk about, man, this gospel extravaganza. I think it's the second or third? The second one. First of all, for folk who don't know, who is Pastor Reverend teacher, preacher, soul reacher Ken Davis?
Just a believer. That's all. A man who's just serving God, serving the community, serving the people out in New Orleans East area. A believer, simple of faith, been pastoring now 20 years, and loving every minute.
And Dr. White, if you don't believe that prayer works, right? Pastor Kenneth Davis.
Oh, I believe it.
For folk who may not.
Okay.
A lot of people are giving kudos to what's happening or not happening on Chef Highway with prostitution, right? Some of the underground activity, right, with kids and stuff like that. Pastor Davis started a few years ago with just prayer walks.
Prayer walk.
That's all. Didn't have police. Just walking up to the ladies and the men out there, praying with them and look at the impact.
Showing them love, helping them, giving them some of the needs they may have. But not only, we also partnered with Franklin Avenue, was a partner with us. Some days they would come out too. But we did that because we know that what man can do, God is able to do.
Right. So tell us about what man can do with God with this gospel extravaganza.
Well, we've been producing concert with King's events. Pastor Greg Baptiste is also my partner in this. We decided to do this so that we can revitalize the East. Now we're using, thank God for Pastor Fred Luter and Franklin Avenue, who's partnered with us this year for this one, so that we can bring concerts down in the New Orleans East area. And as a matter of fact, they're going to be one of the major ones that receive most of the proceeds from this from the concert.
So who, when, where, how, and who?
Okay, it's December 6th. It's called Worship Live. It's featuring Fred Hammond, James Fortune, Todd Delaney.
That's this Friday.
This Friday. And Smokey Norfolk is going to be there. It's going to be
Fred Hammond?
Fire.
That's the first. That's what I say. Ooh.
Yeah.
Say, ooh.
Fred Hammond.
Yeah.
Todd Delaney. James Fortune and Smokey Norfolk. Yeah.
So I have a question. Because Oliver spoke to what you're doing on Chef for the women and folk who are participating in that sort of activity down there and the difference you're making. Is there an effort by any pastor to do that for the youth, because I believe that that could actually help them if we just have conversations with our children and we talk to them and we try to intervene on a humane level, as opposed to everything being punitive or, judiciary with them. Like, is there any intervention that puts Black men in the faces of younger Black men to try to curb some of this community violence that we're seeing?
Well, I think it's something that any believer, any man of God should be concerned about, because, we learn that life is just not about you.
Right.
And your legacy is what you leave and what you do for other people. And so and of course, Pastor Jock Williams. We've been collaborating.
Pastor Brown.
Yes, Pastor Brown. We're coming together.
It started in that area.
Yes. Even as we're speaking, we've been communicating to come together to help with the crime. And so we are going to be unifying. We're strategizing right now on how we're going to attack it, but we're going to be becoming more visible in the community to deal with some of the crime in any way we can, spiritually and in other ways if we can.
Because I just feel like if that's an intervention that we could do before we allow the system to intervene on behalf of our children, I think there's something community that's missing. And I think what you're doing is awesome. What Oliver was talking about, we could take that same idea and put it toward our youth. And I promise you, if you need me to be, I'll come. Like, I want to be of service for children. So whatever that looks like, count me in.
The good thing is that it's happening. And a lot of it emanated from America Street, the Goose area, that part, Rosedale, that part of where Pastor Davis pastors. The original walks, the men's meetings that happened on Monday. The outreach with Nola Uda actually started. It manifested in that area. So when people talk about the drop in juvenile crime, 71%, or the fact that the parts of the East are leading the way in violent crime reduction, it's no happenstance. It's because of many of the efforts. So now the challenge is, like Dr. Davis, how do we continue those things? Because usually when something works here in this city, we stop.
And I would like to hear more about the drop in all of the crime that they like to glorify about what's happening in the East, but I don't hear much about because that's the first time I heard that from Oliver. The difference you're making out there, I didn't know that was happening that way.
Well, it doesn't make too much of the news, those
but it
type
should.
of things.
That's the point I'm
making.
making. It should.
But the people are still benefiting from it. As a matter of fact, on the 23rd of December, I know Representative Candace is doing a toy giveaway. I don't know, it's a 7th and 19th, but we normally do one at the church also. But this year we're going out on Chef Highway, on the corner right there, where all the activity is, and we're on the 23rd of December, and we're going to be giving toys away for the kids or anybody that come through there. Just help their Christmas.
But we can celebrate it this Friday.
We sure can. We can celebrate it this Friday.
We can cut loose, right?
Yes.
At Franklin Avenue Baptist Church.
Franklin Avenue.
The Holy Ghost time.
It's going to be real.
Can we have one of those?
You can have
a few of them.
Yeah, a few of them. And then, I don't know how you guys do it, but, we leave a couple of tickets here for anybody who's listening, calling, they're listening.
Listen, yes.
And get in touch with our program manager, give me your name, and all he's got to do is call me, and we'll put you on will call.
Okay.
December 6th, 2024, Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, 82 I-10 Service Road in New Orleans. What time does the concert start?
The concert starts at 7. If you're VIP, they'll be entering for 5:15, and in early admission, there's VIP early admission, and general admission comes in at 6 o'clock.
And how can you get tickets, and how much are they?
You can go to two places. I think the easiest place is to go to franklinabc.com, and you'll be able to get the link and get
Fred Hammond, y'all.
Yeah.
Man,
Fred gonna turn it out.
James Fortune, Todd Delaney, and Smokey Norfolk. No doubt about it. Pastor, any lasting words, anything you want to leave us with?
Just thank you, man, for what you do.
Appreciate it.
I tell you, there's a lot of people that are in politics, but I see you have a heart for the people. I thank God for all of your efforts. Not only do you have a heart for the people, you understand politics. You got knowledge of it. You got the history, and I think that going forward, that God's going to use you for great things. And I believe this time you got something to prove, and you're going to let everybody know who you are.
When I got Dr. Wyatt to keep me sharp and on point, it's always good when you have a good team We look forward to you coming back.
Yes, sir.
And maybe at some point it would be great to have you come back to talk about
Yes.
the youth initiatives and
Yes.
the planning to continue some of the efforts we're doing right now.
Yes,
if
we
you would
went full speed. I'd love to do that. Just let me know.
Pastor Kenneth Davis, man, Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, this Friday, 7 o'clock.
And let us know how many tickets we could give away because we love doing that here on WBOK.
He's going to give them the 9. We'll give some away today and tomorrow.
Yes.
Right. So I said 2, so I'll say 4.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it when the plan
And if
comes
If
together.
you guys send me your name, I'll put y'all on will call, so you
Okay.
don't even have to need. Just let me know. You can bring a guest. Just send your name, okay?
Got you. Thank you so
How
much.
we say in New Orleans, no doubt about it, right? Hey, we're going to take a break, right? And when we come back, what's
State Rep
happening?
Delisha Boyd.
What's happening at the state level? Man, is we still New Orleans? Right? They tried to take it away. That and a whole lot more with State Representative Delisha Boyd. WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
Yes, it is.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Right now, New Orleans police are investigating a shooting that left one man injured in the Westlake neighborhood. Police say this happened around 7:50 last night on the 8400 block of South I-10 Service Road. The victim was suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition at this time or a motive for the shooting. But call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111 if you have any information that can help police. New details from the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office as they announce another arrest in a financial fraud scheme. Tonya Robertson is accused in a scheme to defraud the agency and the public of more than $90,000. She's a former OPSO employee and is facing felony charges. Labrina Lackey, another former employee, was arrested in this same alleged scheme and faces similar charges. A bombshell admission at New Orleans criminal court. 93-year-old retired priest Laura Hecker pleaded guilty to raping and kidnapping a boy in the 1970s. Hecker's trial was set to start yesterday morning, but in the last hour, he pleaded guilty to theft, kidnapping, and rape. Hecker will now spend the rest of his life in prison. A New Orleans judge orders Governor Jeff Landry to follow city ordinance when it comes to homeless encampment sweeps. The ruling comes after a temporary restraining order was granted, blocking the state from moving unhoused people from the camps before Bayou Classic. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a fantastic hump day.
Delgado Community College offers programs in business, technology, health sciences, and the arts. With over 100 career-focused degrees and certificates that are affordable, flexible, and transferable, we can give you the knowledge and skills to succeed. Delgado is a great fit if you're starting your post-high school education, or we can help you advance or change your career. Take a step toward being unstoppable at Delgado Community College. Visit dcc.edu to learn more today.
Hi, this is Congressman Troy Carter. I ask that you join me in voting for Eric Doc Jones for Orleans Parish School Board District 2. Eric Doc Jones is a career educator with whom I've had the pleasure of working together on many issues of importance for our community and is ready to serve as our next school board member on day one. I proudly endorse Eric Doc Jones for Orleans Parish School Board District 2. Eric Doc Jones is number 12 on the ballot.
Paid for by the committee to elect Eric Doc Jones, number 12.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, this is Wendell Pierce, partner at WBOK. And I'd like to wish you and your family a very happy holiday season. From all of us here at WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to longer.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Don't make me show you why I'm my mama daughter now.
Don't get it twisted. Doc, I can't wait till we on VH1 or Bravo. The off-air conversations, that little black radio station. Look, Butcher Beverly, you've been talking about it for years. You've been in the movie industry for years. If you're out there listening, come on, produce that
Fund
show.
us.
Come on, produce, Lord.
I watch it.
Convo. And we told y'all she was coming. She's here.
She's here.
Another one from the West Bank, right? But y'all are trying
Big Bank. Big Bank say girl bank today.
Man, y'all, oh Lord, I'm the Lord Night War boy. I got to put up with all that this morning. Representative Boyd, no stranger to the Good Morning Show at WBOK. Welcome back, and thank you for doing what you do.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So how you doing?
When you call, you know I'm coming.
Well, I think you on point. Like I say about our congressman, there are a few elected officials that are actually more than one person. Mm-hmm. And I think
she's everywhere.
Yeah, there's got to be three or four.
Yeah, she's everywhere.
Run a business, right? Take care of your house. Be a parent. Be involved in community organizations. Represent a district. And, fight for community.
Fighting for our
Do you like what you do?
I do. I'm even more committed to seeing the best for our children and grandchildren because people laid the way for me to be here.
Right.
You know, there's not been a time where you and I have had a conversation where I didn't thank you for what you did for me.
That was a long time
ago. It was, over 30 years ago now. But you still did it as an elected official, by the way.
Right.
Made me a promise on a Friday that he was going to help me get my business started on Monday. My Monday before 9, I was getting a call from my dear friend Kimberly Carbo, who I miss terribly, and Jackie Harris.
Yeah.
Got on the phone.
Yeah.
Was talking to the person who originally introduced us this morning, Arlene Lombard. Yeah. But solid.
Right.
Man of your word. I love
and just
that.
think you were a reluctant warrior back then. You were like, nah, I'm comfortable. I got I've built a real estate business. I've trained people to get involved in development, really all those kinds. What I want to do with some politics, and now you're one of the best we have.
Well, because my conversation with Arlene was about a race that we have going on right now, and if we want better people have to run for office. You
that's
can't.
A bill.
You can't complain about who's qualifying if that's all who qualified.
Yeah.
So to get more and better.
And so the rumors are true. You are looking at citywide office.
I am, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
I want to fight, boots on the ground with you here, because there are things, I love it. There are things that we should be doing and could be doing outside of state government to make our city better and stronger. We have the best city in all of the United States as far as I'm concerned. So I'm committed to that and saving where my kids live, where my grandchildren live, all of that stuff. And partnering with people who have the vision that I have, knowing that we could be able to maybe pay our kids more money and pay our teachers more money in our own city, do more for our police departments where they're working here and have to leave to live someplace else because of what our rental affordable housing is in our own city. We have to fight to keep our city.
Well, talking about working and living one place, you live here, but when there are sessions, and when the state or the governor or the House calls, you have to split that time.
I have to get up
in
and
Baton
go.
Rouge. This session is right now. Update us on where are we? What is the foundation of this session? What are we trying to accomplish? And what are some of the things that are already impacting us?
Well, this was supposed to be a tax reform session. And because we have a governor who will do what he pleases to do when he feels like it, there were some things that were added that were not in my personal opinion, germane to the session, but they put it in anyway, jailing children as young as 14 years old as adults. That's scary. And it passed out of the House, Senate. He's going to sign it. It'll be on the ballot in March. You know, you accompany that with qualified immunity. You accompany that with the fact that now these kids can carry guns with no permit, no certification. It's going to be bad for kids.
And you also accompany that with he's expecting certain demographics of people not to show up to vote, right?
Absolutely.
So he's expecting that to walk because he's counting on those of us who don't believe in a process of voting to stay home. And so if we allow this measure to be placed on a ballot and we don't show up, it's going to be put into law.
Absolutely.
And that's the scariest part about it. And we're always so reactive here.
Right.
When people are sounding the alarm now and nobody's really paying attention, and then when when it's put on the ballot, you're like, wait, nobody told me about that. Yes, we did.
Yes,
we did.
I said he is hurting our kids in plain sight.
Yeah.
It's not a secret, you know. The articles are written on it. He is brazen, and he will talk about it and justify why he's doing it. But, you know,
he was even doing it as the AG.
Yeah.
He started it at the AG level with the piloting the Caddo parishes and the East Baton Rouge and New Orleans in terms of making it synonymous with crime, as if there's not crime all over the state.
All over the state,
right? And so I have a huge. So this would be my question, because I don't understand politics to the level that you do. If the session was about taxes, how was he then allowed to make it about something else? Like, how does that process work?
Here's what we know. Every single time this bill and the bill where now we'll have to, we're trying to keep where our judges can actually run for office, we all asked, every Black Caucus members, how is this germane to the call? Mm-hmm. No one would ever answer that question for us. We have a dynamic Black Caucus, Democratic caucus chair, Matthew Willard, had questions at every turn on the floor, and actually the Speaker of the House tried to shut him down one day. We know that it wasn't germane, but he is creating a dictatorship. What does that sound like? Our president?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think he thinks he's a mini president-elect,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You're going to do what I say, regardless of what you read.
Right.
I know you read it, and I know you understand the law, but it's on the call, and we're doing it.
So the only stance we have at this point is to make certain that we galvanize people to the polls, because it's already passed. It's already going to be a ballot measure.
It's already going to be a ballot measure in March, which we are anticipating a low turnout. That's our history. When it's just amendments and maybe judgeships, we don't, I don't know what else is needed for us to understand that every time we think it can't get worse, they show us how it can. We have to show up and fight. People died for us to have this privilege of voting, and they're literally rolling back. We're beyond going back to the 60s at this point.
And it's not just died past tense. People are dying currently.
Absolutely.
Still fighting for basic rights and humanities. And I think to the point how we ended the show yesterday, Ala, where we were talking about the coin flip.
Yeah.
And it might seem mundane to certain people, but to me, it's a big deal.
Yes.
Because if you allow a person who doesn't even respect the institutions that he's standing on the field to flip a coin for, why is he there?
Why is he there?
Why did we allow that? Our congressman was right there. He could have flipped it.
Right.
The mayor was right there. She could have flipped it.
Right.
Why did we allow that? And then he goes to the state capitol and he creates laws and legislation to further oppress and suppress us in terms of, they want the city, and he gonna do everything he can to take
everything he can. And he said it.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to go there because, especially what I like that you've done is if you've broken it down in terms of the current tax and financial situation, and of course you've taken the time. Very few people would believe that you haven't really been elected as long as so many others, given the issues that you've tackled. But Delisha Boyd, I know that's our work ethic anyway, right? And you're smart and you can multitask. But when you talk about Louisiana's tax situation, Louisiana doesn't have much of its revenue without New Orleans. And we have been a pass-through. We have to fight for casino support services. We have to fight to get special appropriations back here. Is there any effort to take a look at that taxing situation? And we did Fair Share a few years ago, where the city got a portion of Fair Share. Talk about that system where the state actually holds us hostage in terms of the revenue that passes through our city.
Once again, Oliver, that goes back to who is getting elected. Because my one vote in the House is one of 105 votes. So we can't only focus on what's happening in Orleans Parish. We have become a target for all other parishes. And we don't look at seats that are within our reach to grab and change out of that 73. Right in Jefferson Parish, right in Plaquemines Parish, where we could get some of these seats for people who are not constantly voting against bringing money here. The city that really, people don't want to hear it, funds the state. But if you have 73 of them voting against the 6 or 8 of us from our delegation, we lose.
Right.
It's simple math. We have to get out to vote not only here, but statewide on things that fundamentally impact us here in our own city.
And to put it in perspective for people, when we talk about numbers, at the height of tourism before COVID, when the city was knocking on the door of 20 million visitors, the state only got between 35 and 40 million visitors. So more than half. More than half. Half of the people who want to come see this space and place actually come spend their money in New Orleans.
And it bothered me in 2022, my first session, to hear the other parishes target Orleans delegation and how hard we had to fight to bring anything back to Orleans Parish, the city that basically runs the state. Without us, the state loses out.
Well, sales tax versus income tax. We know that it talk about imposing a tax.
A penny, yes.
Where is that right now?
That passed as well. Flying colors passed with his justification on income tax and sales tax is that the families, even at the lowest, would get an additional $91 a year. I'm going to raise your sales tax because on your income taxes, you're going to get an additional $91.
But even when his spokesperson came to talk about the tax, right, he tried to frame it as if it was in the best interest of the everyday person because these are luxury goods. And I'm like, how is cutting your grass? And, like you're framing it as if to put it as luxury because you're trying to price everyday people out of it. Because if you add an additional money on top of what I'm already spending, I feel like you're trying to price me out of being able to afford it. That's why you're using the luxury tag on it. And he was trying to.
So we were able to get that out.
Yeah.
Whether everyday things won't be taxed.
Yeah.
It was business negotiations 101. Let me throw a whole bunch of stuff.
Republicans were anti-tax.
That's what they run on. Bring it again. That's please, because that's what they run on.
But they don't even understand
not ever
tariff.
raising.
They pro tariff, but they don't even understand that
So
word.
let's look at the 1% raise in taxes for a person who's already paying because their insurances are higher. Gas is higher. Food is higher and will continue to go up because now we have a president who comes in and who says on day one, we'll implement tariffs. Well, they got to pass that on to somebody, and who you think will get that?
But the person who's voting for him doesn't understand who carries the expense of that. They're supporting it because they don't realize how a tariff works.
Well, some of them don't understand how it works, clearly. Let's be real about that.
Yes, absolutely.
But imagine how that's going to already hurt a community of people who are already living at or below the poverty level in our city.
We only have about 5 minutes left, and wow. I sorry that I laughed out loud, but it was just interesting.
Yeah.
That would be a solution, right?
Yeah.
Create a problem. Now, you have said publicly that there are more urgent things that we should have special sessions, matters that we should be dealing with. What are some of those things that Alicia Boyd said, if we're going to have special sessions?
Let's be real about what we need, because there's also this misconception that he gave teachers a pay raise.
Did not.
The stipend became permanent, but it's not recurring. So the teachers did not get a pay raise. But that's how they're pushing it out.
Well, that's how he did. That's how his His mentor did it with the stimulus.
Yeah.
it's literally the
Yes.
it's literally the same same book.
And it's just what you just said, OT. They do it and they do it out loud, but we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Then they make the people who are voting against I'm trying to not say bad words on the air. People who are against their bills. Well, we gave the teachers a pay raise. Well, we put back in the film tax. Do you honestly think they really were going to take away the film tax that brings over $1 billion to our state every year?
No.
But let me throw it at you.
Yeah.
So I can get what I want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Politics 101.
Politics 101. Do you honestly think they will get rid of the historic tax? They have historic districts in Baton Rouge as well.
Absolutely.
You know, and trying to get people to understand, like, I'm not trying to hurt the film industry. I love the film industry.
Yeah.
That was one of my previous businesses. You know what I mean? Yes. But we cannot let him back us into a corner believing that he's going to give up $1 billion a year.
Well, what can the New Orleans delegation do to help inform the citizenry about what this new measure means for children in terms of lowering the age?
And does the delegation have a united agenda where
Yes.
y'all are going to come public to us to say, these are the issues we're fighting for or fighting against?
Because we need to all galvanize around this. I don't care
Wait.
what your political agendas are. We all have to come together to fight against this.
Every single one, because I think that's also what we've seen in the past. You have all these groups that have great ideas, but they're working individually. You know, you have them work when right now we're so desperate for more. We got to come together. There's no other way to do it but us joining as one to not only save our city, but save what we're handing over to our kids, what they have. I know kids that don't even understand that we have living legends in our city. I went to visit Dr. Leona Tate last week, and the amount of people who don't know that it was more than this Miss
One
Bridges
person, yes.
that integrated. Yes. And she has this center down in the lower ninth ward, which she told me you've been numerous times. But I know I'm saying our kids don't know about them, but I know adults that don't know that it was for kids that actually
because it was
integrated
a separate thing, but at the same time it happened simultaneously. And I think it's also too the way people cover it. Because when folk talk about it, they talk about her singularly.
Absolutely.
And nobody, pays
Absolutely.
homage to the rest of the young ladies who also integrated.
So you're in this special session now, and most pressing issue, anything we missed, and what do you think?
And let's hit on what's happening with our judges as well.
Absolutely.
Clearly, people are offended about how smart Black people really are, and how they have elevated themselves to judgeships by hard
on
work.
merit, excellence,
Yes.
and intelligence that they're trying to go to.
So to go back to appointing judges will put us back to where we were when we decided we needed to elect judges.
And for the citizens who are listening, they're going back to that old Business Council initiative several decades ago, which said that judges should be appointed a merit base, not elected by the people in this community.
Absolutely.
And all that's going to do is what is happening now when you see folk who have the heavy coffers and the more money and they could just buy a seat. That's all it's going to be
Well,
about
you won't even
now.
be able to buy a seat. Your
Just
relationship,
don't-
you'll be appointed.
Absolutely. And that
That's
is something
scary.
that he said when he got in office as well, because right now Jeff Landry will appoint all chairs of boards of all state institutions. So that means he appoints the board chair for
The
Southern.
board doesn't appoint the chair anymore.
Yes.
The governor appoints the chair.
He's going to appoint the board for SUNO, for Grambling, for all of these things that really should be led by someone who is strong and African American, understands what that means. He's creating the dictatorship that Trump was talking about the whole time he was running for office. We were living it.
It's Project
2025 right here.
2025 right here. Representative Boyd, anything you want to leave us with, and how can people reach out to you and follow you and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to remind everyone, too, that we do have an election on Sunday. Only amendments on the ballot, with the exception of District E, has a school board seat that's in a runoff election. if you have family and friends in the Baton Rouge area, Sharon Weston Broome is fighting for her seat against a Republican in the city that's predominantly African American as well, and the Republican is polling high. What more do we need to do to have people understand how important it will be for us to exercise our right to vote?
It's a state takeover.
It's a state takeover.
What's happening?
But Doc, we're allowing it to happen.
Yeah, we are.
You know, I show
And
up
it's
at the
Saturday,
house and I
December
say
7th.
to people, I can't be mad at the 73 Republicans because they got their assignment and they're sticking to it. We have to stick to ours.
Well, our next guest is going to be one of the leading African-American historians in this country, Dr. Clyde Robinson from Southern University. And it's interesting that he's going to talk about history makers and icons and legends and trailblazers. Let's hope they won't be the last ones. Representative Boyd, you promise to come back and continue to share with us?
All you have to do is call.
WBOK, 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
Yes, it is our station. We'll be back after the break.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
New Orleans, get ready for Inspire Fest. Join us on December 7th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at McDonough 35 High School for a day of family, fun, music, and a chance to learn more about Inspire NOLA Schools, the highest performing open enrollment schools in the city. Enjoy live performances by Tanya Boyd Cannon, Brassaholics, and BJ So Cole. Bring the family, enjoy the entertainment, and see what makes Inspire NOLA different. Don't miss this unforgettable day. Find out more at inspirenolaschools.org.
You know we all love a surprise, like finding a 20 in your coat pocket, but nobody wants a surprise from the flu or COVID. If you're 65 or older, flu and COVID vaccines are your best defense against severe illness this fall and winter. These vaccines also cut the chances that you'll be hospitalized in half. Keep your surprises this season all good. Risk less, do more. Get started at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Back, man. Hey, it's been a bang up. What it always is here on the Good Morning Show. Dr. Wyatt O.T., man, the messages that always come together, man, that especially when you talk about what's happening in our community, I really, I love my co-hosts, man. I love our guests. And I love the people who contributed here because it's issues and conversations that matter. And it's a talk show. What we do?
Talk.
We absolutely and we listen to. So thank you, Councilmember King, Representative Boyd, and none other than no stranger to the Good Morning Show and no stranger to me and my family, Dr. Fran and Dr. Clyde Robinson. Man, welcome back to WBOK and the Good Morning Show.
Thank you, OT.
Glad to be here. If you don't mind, we'll start with the Queen, right?
Oh,
okay. Fran, let everybody know we all know who Fran is, but and this initiative, why it's important.
Well, this initiative is important. First of all, it is an event that is in collaboration with Southern University in New Orleans and the Gentilly Fest and our Pontchartrain Park Neighborhood Association. We are hosting the premiere of Dr. Robertson's film documentary of the origins of Pontchartrain Park. And, this is very important to us. I think that our youth need to understand the history and the legacy of Pontchartrain Park and what some of the sacrifices that their parents and grandparents made in moving to a new area that paved the way for Black middle-class development in our community. So we're having this event Friday night, 5 to 9.
Now, is it true that Pontchartrain Park was one of the first African-American subdivisions planned specifically for African-American professionals when it was formed?
It's actually the second. New Orleans has the distinction of housing the first and oldest continuing African-American community, it's Treme.
Okay.
And has the distinction of having the second oldest African-American subdivision during the contemporary era.
Right.
The first is Collier Heights, but there's a little gray space there. Collier Heights in Atlanta still exists, still very beautiful. Collier Heights started as a white working class community. By the 1940s, for whatever the reason, I still haven't figured it out, whites started abandoning Collier Heights. The Black middle and upper class populations in Atlanta moved in and started reimagining the community. So right now it's still pristine. Pontchartrain Park becomes the first planned African-American subdivision in the city of New Orleans. The discussions about Pontchartrain Park began as early as 1951. Della Shep Morrison, segregationist mayor, white supremacist mayor, we have to understand this, actually was successful in convincing the city council and the powers that be that Pontchartrain Park was quite necessary. And so in 1955, ground was broken. 1956, African-American people started moving in. The first family that I'm familiar with who moved in Pontchartrain Park were the Oubrays. In 1956, they purchased their lot in 55. My family is 1961. So Pontchartrain Park pioneers are those people who purchased their homes between 1955, 1965. There is, again, gray space there because in 1969, a new section of Pontchartrain Park was launched on Olton Street. There are two Oltons. The new Olton, your cousins, were among the first to move in to that section. Those are the Henry from the lower Ninth Ward. Those are the Henrys. Yolanda Henry.
Yes.
Elvira Henry. That's the Chink Henry family. They were
Yes,
Sterling.
Yes. Yolanda
Henry moves in to the Pontchartrain Park community on Prentice Avenue. That's the Chink Henry.
Right.
That's I think Sterling's older brother.
Chink was Sterling is the grandfather.
The grandfather.
Yeah.
The Chink, and then there's
Sterling.
There's Sterling.
Right.
Well, they move into Pontchartrain Park as early as 57 or 58. Wow. So that's Prentice Avenue. That's Prentice Avenue going towards the golf course. So we talk about a segregationist mayor. The reason why Pontchartrain Park was envisioned was to prevent African Americans who were middle class, many times veterans, from living next door to Caucasians. And so Delashep Morrison suggested that, the city build a community that is comparable to white communities with special amenities, unique amenities, so that black people would not want to clamor.
Well, we need
to
more
move
than
next
15
door.
minutes.
I love when he's here.
For this segment, and now we got about 3 minutes left. But talk about this event, and hopefully at some point you can come back because there's a larger story, right?
Yeah.
The city of New Orleans actually wouldn't have grown or couldn't grow if it wasn't for annexing areas for African Americans to live outside the community, and much of that was across the river and in the Ninth Ward, right? So it expanded beyond the original municipal district because of the growth in our population. So you wouldn't have this footprint had it not been. Have I said anything wrong?
Yeah. No, not at all. What's happening on Friday is a collaboration between, as Sister Lawless identified, the Center for African American Studies, SUNO, Pontchartrain Park Neighborhood Association, and the Gentilly Fest. And we are premiering the documentary, Pontchartrain Park Pioneers, actually trailblazers and history makers, the Pontchartrain Park Pioneers. It's a 43-minute long documentary. We actually communicate with 10 elders who are Pontchartrain Park Pioneers, right. 3 of whom have already passed.
Wow.
So this is an important story now. Mrs. Morial, Sybil Morial, Mrs. Ruth Oubre, Mr. Edgar Poray, Mrs. Velma Slack, Mrs. Velaz White, Mrs. Margaret Adams, Mrs. Elvira Henry, her sister-in-law, Mrs. Yolanda Henry, Mr. Stephen Johnson, and Miss Josie Lewis. Wow. Mrs. Morial, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Lewis have transitioned. And so having these stories are quite necessary. In fact, we must train our youth to be able to go in and capture the stories of important people, important institutions and communities in their lives. Because, as life will have it, we are not going to be here forever. But our stories can remain long after we go. That's what this documentary is about. I'm inviting everyone out. As I stated, it is a collaboration. It's not only the debut of the Pontchartrain Park Pioneers documentary, but it's also a holiday celebration.
Absolutely.
Featuring
the Pontchartrain Park Neighborhood Association, and it is free and open to the public, and that's very important.
And we have entertainment.
We do. Sharon Martin is performing, yes.
Yeah. And food.
And food.
And everything is free and open to the public.
And where's it going to be?
I'm glad you asked. 6801 Suno Knights Drive, formerly known as Press Drive. That's the Millie Charles School of Social Work building. And we will occupy the auditorium, the lobby, and the small lecture hall.
And, and how much is it to come?
It's free.
It's free.
And free is better than cheap.
Yeah.
free is better than cheap.
Free is better than cheap. I got to use that, OT.
Well,
yes.
And we've come to the end of this segment, but we would love for you to come back and especially talk about more history. I don't know if we need to wait till Black History Month?
No.
No, all things
it's
education.
Black History always around
Wyatt,
here.
Right? Man, thank y'all so much, Fran. The Doc, man, God bless you. We appreciate what y'all do. Doc, bring us home, Dr. Wyatt.
Listen, we had a wonderful show. We talked to our Congressman Freddie King with conversations with the council. We talked to our state rep, Delisha Boyd, talking about all things state with the amendments in our taxes and our new bills that are coming out. And we had this wonderful conversation with Dr. Clyde Robertson talking about the trailblazers and history makers of Pontchartrain Park. It's been a wonderful Hump Day Wednesday, Oliver's favorite day of the week. We're about to slide right on into the front porch. Up next, we're Grilling and Kimber. This is WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about.
Station?
Our station.
You know it's us.
See y'all tomorrow.